We'll talk to Louis Riddick of the Mothership here in a moment. Lane Kiffin met with the media as he gets ready for the game Ole Miss against Mississippi State. And this is the Egg Bowl. And, of course, we want to find out where Lane Kiffin is going to go or if he's going to stay when he makes the announcement. And he met with the media, and he got hit with a couple of really good questions.
Lane, Keith released a statement on Friday saying that you, him, and Chancellor Boyce had a meeting about your future. Are you able to elaborate on the nature of that meeting at all?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, very fair question, but we're not answering anything that doesn't have to do with the game and the team and the season. But fair question.
You mentioned on Pat McAfee how you don't make decisions based on money. When you do make your decisions, what are the considerations for you then, especially when it comes to football decisions, right? Like, what are you thinking about? Yeah,
very fair question, but I'm not going into it because, like I said at the beginning, I'm going to keep this to this team. And
he says expects a decision on Saturday. Is that a decision that's been made, or is that still in consideration? Like, people are just curious about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can just keep going. I'm not going to answer them, so that's 3 of them. You got another one?
All right. It's their job, Lane. You put yourself in this position. The coach is not supposed to be the distraction. You are the distraction. These questions aren't out of nowhere when you send cryptic messages and pictures and, you know, your family's here, your family's there, and flight is going to be here. They're going there. I would say that was probably a draw between media and head coach. Let's bring in Louis Riddick from the Mothership. He'll be on the call for Miami at Pittsburgh Saturday, noon Eastern on ABC. What'd you make of that back and forth there?
Yeah, that's Lane, man. That's Lane just trying to deflect the questions and not answer them until he, drops his decision on the rest of us as far as we know what exactly it is that he's planning on doing. Look, I mean, you know what? Look, I've talked to Lane Dan many times. We cover a bunch of their games. I really like the guy. I've developed a friendship with him. He's been really good to me. As far as, the information that we need to do our jobs. But look, Lane right now is trying to make the best decision for his football career. And the college football, schedule, as far as when coaches can be talked to, when coaches can be hired, when you kind of compare it to the NFL, it's just screwed up. He's in a situation right now where really he can't win. He could make it simpler. If his decision was simply just to go back to Ole Miss, I mean, he could obviously simplify this whole thing and put the whole thing to rest as far as, the speculation surrounding his job. Obviously, it leads you to believe that, he hasn't made a decision, or that he's made a decision that maybe that is going to cause a little bit of, let's just say, controversy as far as maybe what he decides to do. But I think we're all just going to have to sit and wait right now. And you can tell he's having a hard time trying to keep people off his back until he actually does make his decision and make it known. And it's tough, man. It's tough being in the situation that he's in. I don't envy him because I can understand as far as, him trying to make a decision that he feels as though is going to set him up to be a national championship winning head coach at some point down the line. And that doesn't mean necessarily that he can't get that done at Ole Miss. But it just means that right now he's not willing to let us in on where he's heading with this thing. And
let's say he goes either LSU or Florida.
Yeah.
Would you let him coach Ole Miss in the playoffs?
I'd have a hard time doing it. I really would, because obviously it wouldn't be fair to his players right now that he has, the roster that he has assembled right now.
But he does give you the best chance to win in the playoffs.
Of course it does. And look, I think what it is, it's kind of like an ethics discussion, I guess you would say here. Like, does he have the right to coach a team up until the very end, up until they get knocked out of it, given the fact that he has, in essence, kind of decided, hey, look, this isn't the team ultimately that I want to coach, and that down the line, I'm looking to move on and go to a different place. I think that, I mean, look, if you're the sitting athletic director or the sitting president of Ole Miss, and let's just say he did decide to go to a different place, yeah, I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time letting him continue to coach the team. Although he gives the team the best chance to win a national title with him leading the charge. Of course, yeah, it's a tough situation for everyone involved here, man. And I would not want to be in it. And somehow, some way, the NCAA has to kind of change up the structure so where you don't have coaches being put in this situation, and most importantly, you don't have players and teams being put in this situation.
There was an incident during the Niners game against the Panthers when Jawan Jennings got hit in the groin, and he was hit by Trayvon Mulrig. Okay, and then after the game, he took a swing at Mulrig, and then all of a sudden people are like, wait a minute, what happened here? And then we saw the video where he gets hit in the groin.
Yeah.
What's worse, getting hit in the groin or somebody spitting in your face?
Well, I think, look, someone spitting in your face, I think you've heard many people talk about this, Dan. I mean, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate show of disrespect. Getting hit in the groin, someone purposely taking a shot at your groin. Look, it's all the same to me. When someone's trying to hurt you in a very meaningful way, and when someone's trying to disrespect you in a very meaningful way, look, those are just lines you just don't cross on the football field, and all bets are off after that. They just are. I think Mike Tomlin put it perfectly when, I guess, a reporter asked him, how were you advising your players if someone were to spit in your face? And I think he, I'm kind of paraphrasing, where he said, look, you just do what comes naturally to you at that point. And someone hits you in the groin, Dan, or someone spits in your face, I would tell you the same thing, or anyone else. Do what comes naturally. And I'll back you from there.
Would you be playing Joe Burrow if you're the Bengals?
No, I wouldn't. I think, look, sometimes we know this. We know players need to be protected from themselves. Like, the Bengals aren't going anywhere as far as 2025. And I know, like, this is the highest form of competition when it comes to pro football, and you're being paid to do a job, and Joe Burrow's being paid handsomely. But at the same time, I'm trying to look out for his long-term future and the long-term future of the Bengals. And I don't think it's served by putting him out there in a season that right now isn't going anywhere. I just wouldn't want to risk further injury. I know he could get injured at any time. It is football. It's what he's paid to do, but I wouldn't put him out there. I wouldn't.
But he wants to be out there.
Yeah, I know.
Your fan base is paying to see him out there.
I get it.
You can't bubble wrap him.
That's true. That is true. I understand that. But we're talking about one of the elite of the elites that, look, I guess what I would really need to know here is, and I say this I've said this numerous different times. One of the most important aspects of an organization is your medical department. Your doctors, your trainers, your rehab specialists. I would actually want to know, look, what is the risk of playing this young man and putting him back out there on the football field in a season that's not going anywhere? Am I risking his long-term future that I've invested so much in by putting him back out there? What's the risk of injuring him to the degree where it compromises his long-term future with our organization? That's what I would probably wind up leaning on the most. But sitting here on the outside looking in, I would probably be like, look, we're going to look forward to 2026 with you, Joe.
Talking to Louis Riddick of the Mothership. You got Miami at Pittsburgh, and I brought this up a little bit with Notre Dame and Miami. Miami beats Notre Dame starting the season. Notre Dame is ranked higher. Where do you stand with that? Should Notre Dame be ranked higher than Miami, given the head-to-head?
Look, I think there's a lot left to be played out still, okay, at this point. Do I think they should be being compared in the same pod as the committee talked about? Yeah, I do. I think they should be. I understand that they're saying that, look, Notre Dame's losses, or rather, Miami's losses are worse than Notre Dame's losses, and that's why maybe there is a little bit of a gap between where they are putting them right now, and that they're not evaluating them in the same pod. Then why would any team ever want to schedule tough games in the beginning of the season anymore if early season wins don't count the same as late season wins? I mean, that's an argument Miami can make and an argument that Miami should make. I think in the end, after this weekend is all settled up, we're going to see whether or not that early season win really did mean something for Miami if they are able to get past Pittsburgh on Saturday and beat them convincingly. And then we can wind up having this, this conversation once again. I think head-to-head should matter, no matter when you play it. I don't like the whole idea of let's just say that the value of that win diminishes over time. I don't believe that. I do believe that teams can improve and teams can also become worse as the season goes along. But head-to-head has to mean something regardless of when it was played. And there's going to be a lot of other objective factors that go into this decision, which a lot of times it seems like that's a sliding scale that they use whatever they need to use in order to justify what their eyes are telling them.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole thing's kind of a mess. When you can't ultimately decide things on the football field, Dan, you're always going to have disagreements. You just are. But that head-to-head is something I'm telling you has to have become a factor. It has to be a factor after this weekend is over.
20 minutes ago, I was talking about Brock Purdy. He hesitated on all three of those throws. In the first half, he threw interceptions. And I said in college, you can get away with hesitate, then throw. You can double pump. I mean, you have time. In the NFL, you don't have time.
Right.
Like as soon as he paused, I went, oh my gosh. And then he threw the interceptions. You played defensive back in the NFL.
Yeah.
You got to throw guys open, and they don't stay open very long. But that precision is what makes quarterbacks great. And the guys who aren't able to do that, the younger quarterbacks who think they can do what they did in college, and I mean, that's the death of you. So can you explain that, though, of throwing that receiver open as a defensive back and, facing these receivers and quarterbacks?
Yeah, look, the great guys who patrol the middle of the field in particular, the safeties, even linebackers, look, that's where you see the interceptions. That's where you see the lack of anticipation on the part of quarterbacks really come home to bite them. It's when they're trying to throw those big 15, 18-yard in cuts that are coming in right inside the hash, right behind a second-level defender or right in front of a safety who's coming downhill. And that's where a lot of times it's not open when you throw it, but you're banking on the fact that the receiver is going to be exactly where you expect him to be, and I'm going to put the ball exactly where there is enough time for the receiver to make the catch and protect himself before that safety is able to anticipate where that I'm letting go of this ball, and he's going to be driving downhill. So those quarterbacks that are able to do that, I mean, you're right. The windows are about 1 foot by 1 foot. They're trying to fit them into a tiny little box. And if he hitches at all, if he hesitates at all, and it gives me that extra step that when he takes his hand off of that ball, when he takes his hand off of the ball and he lets it go, that's usually when I'm trying to break, okay, as a middle of the field defender. If he pauses just for a second, he's giving me another step in order to get there, to either make the interception or have, back in the day, it was a big blow-up shot, which now you can't do. But you're giving me that extra second to get there. And so, you have to be sure when you let that ball go. And even when you let it go on time, there are great safeties and great linebackers who are still going to be able to make the play. But that's the cost of doing business when you're throwing the football in the middle of the field like that. If there's any hesitation, you are really putting the ball in harm's way. I heard Kurt Warner talking about this, or I read him talking about this, on social media. I believe it was either last night or this morning. Nobody threw the deep in cut better than Kurt Warner. Nobody. And he says, look, sometimes it burned me. Sometimes even when I let it go on time, the DB still made the play. But I can guarantee you this, if you don't let it go on time and they do get a break, you're cooked. And that's what was happening to Brock. I mean, I think did you talk about the fact that, look, you know what? And I've said this too. Fans should watch a game or have the chance to watch a game from the quarterback's vantage point, field level, to see what they see and see just how hard it is to do what you're talking about. And quite honestly, most fans or most average football players, high school, college football players, wouldn't throw a lot of the throws that these guys throw because it never looks open. You never look like there's an open window. But you have to trust it and you have to let it go. And look, that's why these guys get paid what they're paid. And that's why the margin for error is like slim and none.
But this is what I wanted Tom Brady to do, or Peyton Manning to do, is have the camera behind the offensive line and actually put us right there in the moment. So Tom is going to say, I see the Mike linebacker there. This guy's coming. This guy's going to act like he's coming. We got safeties here. So if he tells me that in real time, that's the experience I want to hear from Brady or Peyton. So we do understand that. I tell my audience all the time, if you saw the game from the sidelines in real speed, you would be shocked how fast it is. Like TV helps us, focus. It's incredible how fast and how violent the game is. But if you put me behind Brady and Brady goes to the line, and maybe better yet, Peyton, because when he went to the line, he's changing the play and he's pointing out things. I think that would be fascinating. I think that would really help us understand a tutorial on That's bringing you as close to the line of scrimmage literally as possible.
Yeah. The only challenge for them, obviously, would be not knowing what the offensive call is. So therefore, they can't necessarily give you all the reads and the checks that they would make because they don't know exactly what the offense is trying to do. So he may be thinking it's going to be one thing, but the offense is trying to do something else.
But Tom can tell me what he would be doing in that. Let's say it's 3rd and 10. So it's an
True.
obvious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're just talking about as far as defensive recognition
Yes.
about what they're doing and what you would be alerting for. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. No question about it. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it would blow your mind. Playing quarterback is hard, man, because there's so much stuff that they have to know pre-snap, and then it can all change. Then it all changes post-snap. And that's why, look, I always give quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt, especially when you're talking about their development, because you have to. Football is a participation development sport. You cannot develop without participating, and you got to give guys time, especially a quarterback.
Oh, wait. Let me get one more question here because I'm up against a commercial break.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys beat the Chiefs,
Yep. ... I think they are going to be very dangerous here in the month of December. Very dangerous. And you're going to be looking at Dallas and talking about, can they really make that push to be a participant in the playoffs? And if they get in the playoffs, all bets are off. Because we all know in single elimination tournaments, teams that can score points and play defense at the level that they're playing defense now, especially up front, they are dangerous. And who knows?
Is it the end of the Chiefs?
Jerry was on to something.
If the Chiefs, I was going to say, that was my follow-up to the follow-up. But are the Chiefs done if they lose on Thursday?
Well, then they need help. And then you just don't know. The Chiefs just got to win out, and they got to control their own destiny. They've got to win out. So, yeah, I think if they lose, then it's not in their hands anymore. So then it's just 50-50. The Chiefs have to control everything now from here on out. And the only way they can do that is by winning every game.
Okay, the follow-up to the follow-up. Did Jerry Jones make the right decision on Micah Parsons?
If these guys continue to play the way they're playing and they're able to maximize the value that they got from those picks in the coming drafts, it looks like he may have, yeah.
Safe travels. Thank you, Lewis. Happy Thanksgiving.
You got it. Thanks a lot, Dan.
That's Louis Riddick. He'll be on the call. Miami at Pittsburgh, Saturday at noon Eastern on ABC. Take a break. Our play of the day up next and your phone calls right after this.